It's about the fiber, fiber, fiber. Today we are talking fiber and more fiber. We are going to understand fiber. We are going to talk about the health benefits of fiber, and we are going to talk about how you can incorporate fiber into your diet and lifestyle. And why fiber? Well, yesterday we had our Gut Health 101. And during that, we found out that a lot of the diseases and the illnesses that we get originate in our gut. And 70% of our immune system is really part of our gut. And there's this whole gut brain corridor and the whole thing about how there's a connection between our brain and our gut. And we actually have a brain in our gut. So the key to our gut health starts with fiber. So we're going to spend today talking about the 101 of fiber. All right, so let's get started with understanding what fiber is. So what is fiber? Well, there's basically two types of fiber. There is soluble fiber and there is insoluble fiber. And all of this comes from plants. That's it. It's all about plants. And so when we talk about soluble fiber, it is something that will dissolve in water. So it forms a gel-like substance that helps to regulate our blood sugar and lowers cholesterol. And our insoluble fiber helps to bulk up our stool and aid in regular bowel movements. And so if we look at our fiber, some of the examples of soluble fiber include apples, oranges, berries, pears, and especially if we keep the skin on them, and like our pears and our apples. We also have vegetables that like Brussels sprouts and sweet potato that have soluble fiber. Psyllium husk is a common ingredient that's used in fiber supplements, is soluble fiber. And barley is a whole grain that we can use in soups and stews. And I actually have used barley, pearl barley, to make a delicious burger. And I promise, Kathy, we're going to do this burger one day. We'll get to it. Now that
we're on the horizon. It's on the horizon. It's okay.
It is. But we're getting into the summer, and the summer is burger season, right? So we'll get there. And so some examples of insoluble fiber include whole wheat, brown rice, and bulgur. Nuts and seeds, there's almonds and walnuts, sunflower seeds. We have wheat bran, which is usually added to cereals and baked goods. And then there's potatoes with the skin on, especially the skin. Potatoes have this thing called resistant starch, and that's where some of this insoluble fiber comes in. And we get this thing with potatoes that we hear the word starch, and it's a starchy vegetable, and all of a sudden we think, or we've kind of been conditioned to think it's not good. But I'm here to tell you that potatoes are actually very good for us. Corn is another one. And, we can tell because sometimes corn, when you eat it, it actually comes right through and you end up with kernels that are still coming out in our stool that haven't been fully digested. So that's a good indicator sometimes for corn. Doesn't happen a lot, but it can happen. And also legumes like split peas and lentils, but they also have soluble fiber. So again, many of the plants actually contain both soluble and insoluble fiber. So example is apples. I talked about them in the soluble, but they also have insoluble fiber, especially the skin, and the flesh is more the soluble fiber. Oats has both the soluble and insoluble fiber. Carrots are again another one where they've got both, and beans and legumes. So your lentils, your black beans, they are all both soluble and insoluble fibers. And the last one I'm going to talk about is flaxseed and chia seeds. These are both, they have both fiber, and both of these have significant amounts of fiber. And these are great to add to a smoothie or to baked goods. So anywhere where you can get your flaxseed and chia seeds. I know in plant-based cooking, you can make a flaxseed egg by combining a couple of tablespoons of flaxseed with some water. And you need more than a couple tablespoons of water to make it into a paste, and that becomes like a flaxseed egg. And when you're using flaxseed, if you eat them with them whole, before you have to grind them up to make them something that we can digest. If they are whole, they are totally insoluble, and they're just going to go straight through you, and we cannot digest them when they're whole. So a great way to grind them up is with a coffee grinder. You can buy them already ground up, and I'm just going to say that they are a very good source of omega-3 fatty acids, which can go rancid fairly quickly. So if you buy them in a package, you have to be careful about the shelf life and keep them in the freezer of your for storage. But if you can, a little buy yourself a little coffee grounder. You can put 1 or 2 tablespoons in the coffee grounder, and it's great. It's a really great way to grind up and make your flax seeds digestible. All right, so then there is the fiber and the gut microbiome. And because I'm Canadian and I was spelling it F-I-B-R-E, I looked like there was a little bit of a spell check, autocorrect, and it came out as fire. I've been having that issue quite a bit. I didn't notice that, but anyway. So our fiber and our gut microbiome. So our fiber is serves as food for the beneficial bacteria in our gut. And so what happens is that this is prebiotic fiber, which actually helps to maintain our gut microbiome because it's the food for these healthy bacteria and beneficial bacteria. And if we talked yesterday, if they don't get fed, they die off and become extinct, and that's not a good thing. So once the human enzymes in the digestion can't break down the fiber will pass from the stomach into the small intestine relatively intact, and then they end up going into the large intestine. And when they are in the large intestine, these beneficial gut bacteria ferment the fibers, and this fermentation process is the key to providing sustenance for the bacteria. And so once during the fermentation, the beneficial bacteria produce short chain fatty acids. And so some of those include butyrate, acetate, and propionate. And when you take those short chain fatty acids, they have important roles in our body. And what they can do is serve as energy source for the colon cells. They promote a healthy gut lining and make sure that we also reduce our inflammation. And the acetate and propionate actually will regulate our blood sugar levels, reduce our cholesterol, and they also have anti-inflammatory effects. So we have that and inflammation which is the smoldering little fires that are in our body. These create anti-inflammatory and can kind of put out some of these little smoldering fires. What also happens is the fermentation process lowers our pH in the colon. And when you lower the pH, you are creating a more acidic environment. And so this was less hospitable for those harmful bacteria and the pathogens. And so this is what helps us to maintain a healthy microbiome. And so these short chain fatty acids also support our immune system by promoting production of our T cells, which are important for controlling immune response and reducing inflammation again. And so the butyrate and the other short chain fatty acids will help maintain the integrity of our gut lining. So if you've ever heard of leaky gut syndrome, where substances can pass between the gut into these are harmful substances, can pass from the gut into our bloodstream, the butyrate and the other short chain fatty acids will help to maintain that barrier so that you don't have any leaky gut syndrome. So that is a whole bunch about what fiber does for us and what the benefits are. And I wanted to kind of put it into an analogy of imagine that you are and your gut is a busy, well-maintained city, and the streets are the pathways through your digestion, and the buildings are the organs and the cells that make up your digestive tract. So consider that fiber is your sanitation and your maintenance crew. So the city cleanup crew is your fiber. So your soluble fiber is like your street cleaner. So soluble fiber dissolves the debris and keeps your street clean. That's your digestive pathway. And they sweep up the excess cholesterol and sugar, preventing blockages and ensuring smooth traffic flow. So we end up with healthy digestion and stable blood sugar levels. So this is going to keep our street clean. That's the soluble fiber. Our insoluble fiber is the trash collectors. And what they do is they pick up the solid waste. And so this type of fiber will add bulk to our stool and make it easier to move through the streets or our digestive tract and out of the city, which is where we want that trash to go. Nobody wants the trash in their backyard, right? So it helps to prevent constipation and keep everything running smoothly. The gardeners are the prebiotic fibers that nourish our green spaces, which is our beneficial bacteria, and they provide the necessary food for the bacteria to thrive and help us maintain a healthy and vibrant environment for which is our gut microbiome. And our recycling plant is the whole fermentation process. So when the fiber is fermented by those good gut bacteria, it's like sending the waste to the recycling plant. And this is where we have short chain fatty acids, which are like the byproducts of the recycling that help to fuel the power plant, which is the giving energy to your gut cells, and it helps improve our overall infrastructure. So it's going to reduce inflammation and support the gut health. So if you want to think of your gut as being like this little microcosm city, this is the way that you can think of it. So we always want to have a healthy, clean city. So this is where the fiber comes in. And so what are the health benefits of fiber? First one is our digestive health. So fiber promotes healthy digestion, and it helps us to prevent constipation. So what does it do? I mean, we've really covered a little bit of this already, but it's going to bulk up your stool. That insoluble fiber will give you more bulk and make it easier to pass through your digestive system. So this is some of your whole grains, your nuts, and your vegetables, like cauliflower will do that. Green beans are good for that. It helps to improve your stool consistency. So our soluble fiber, which dissolves in water and has a gel-like substance, it helps to soften the stool, helps to prevent constipation. And again, oats, beans, lentils, apples, citrus fruits, lots of different ways we can get the fiber. Both the soluble and insoluble fiber help to retain water, and that helps to keep the stool soft and easier to pass. And adequate water is essential for the fiber to be effective in this way. So you need to also make sure you're dehydrated. And there's lots of, not only it's like taking in water and drinking liquids. Certainly, like I like my tea, and I go with herbal tea, so they're not caffeinated. But there's a lot of foods that have water in them, like cucumbers and celery, and so you can eat foods that will help you with keeping hydrated as well. So they give you the fiber, and they also give you the hydration. And then the bulk in the insoluble fiber will stimulate your muscles in your intestines, promoting regular bowel movements. And this is something that we should all be aware of. We don't talk a lot about poop, but really understanding your digestive system and your kind of regularity is important. And so then our fibers will also ferment and produce those short chain fatty acids that help us to remain healthy. And we talked about what those benefits are. And they also support our those gut bacteria. They are the prebiotics, or the food that our healthy beneficial bacteria are using to maintain our healthy microbiome. And if we don't give them food, just like us, if we don't have food, eventually they will die off. And yesterday we talked about how fast that is. It's so fast. It's not like, with us, we could go, I don't know, let's say 60 days or something without food. Their time frame is much, much shorter than that. It's literally less than a day. So we really need to be feeding our gut bacteria. And it also helps to regulate our digestive speed. So fiber, the soluble fiber, will slow down the digestion, which allows us to absorb the nutrients better. And that will provide us with better digestive health and overall health, and prevent things like diarrhea. All right. And when it comes to chronic disease, it can help reduce the risk of heart disease, diabetes, certain cancers. It also will help us in maintaining our blood sugar and our weight, which is always good. So when we look at fiber reducing our disease risk, basically the soluble fiber will bind to cholesterol and bile acids in the digestive system, which then get excreted from the body. So this lowers our overall blood cholesterol levels, especially that LDL, or what we call bad cholesterol. And it also helps to lower. So if we have a fiber-rich diet that's lower in sodium and higher in potassium, which is important. That will help. That will help maintain stable, healthy blood pressure levels. Yes, and be careful. I mean, there are some people who have high potassium, but for most people, 97% of people are deficient in potassium and getting too much sodium. So that's why we want to lower the sodium. Anyway, for diabetes, soluble fiber helps to slow down the absorption of sugar, helps to prevent spikes in our blood glucose level, and also regular consumption of high fiber foods helps to improve insulin sensitivity and allows the fiber allows the insulin to bind to the cells. So we talked about the insulin receptors getting blocked by substances that are coming from the fat. So this helps to allow the fibers to remove some of that insulin resistance. When it comes to cancer, it can help with colon cancer prevention. Fiber helps to move the waste more quickly and reduce the potential time that carcinogens are in contact with the colon lining. It also helps with the short chain fatty acids, is anti-inflammatory, and that also helps may help to reduce your cancer risk. And then the antioxidants and the phytochemicals in high fiber foods, particularly fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, will help against cellular damage and reduce our cancer risk as well. And just overall, it's great for our well-being. For weight management, it helps us to feel full because we've got the bulk with the fiber without adding extra calories. When you're full, you don't feel like eating as much. It also slows down our digestion. So then overall, we will feel full for longer and will be eating less likely to overeat. And then there are some fiber that bind to dietary fats and sugars in the digestive tract that also help to reduce the number of calories that are actually being absorbed into our body. All right, for blood sugar level control, where the fiber slows the absorption of glucose into the bloodstream and prevents us from having rapid spikes and crashes in blood sugar levels. And so if you have diabetes or insulin resistance, this is really important. And high fiber foods generally have a lower glycemic index, which means that they cause slower, more gradual rise in our blood sugar levels compared to low fiber, high sugar foods. And then it also enhances our insulin sensitivity. So, when you look at all that, it definitely, for me, is going to help us with our overall well-being. And how do we incorporate fiber into our diet? Well, we've talked about this. Eat a variety of plant-based foods. Our fruits, our vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds are all important. You will notice that in none of what I have said, are there any dairy, eggs, or animal products like meats and fish and all that stuff, because all of our fiber comes from plants. It does not come from any animal sources at all. So if you want to get your fiber in, you need to get it in with plant-based sources. If you are really low on fiber right now, and most people are not getting enough fiber in their diet, then just beware that if you just all of a sudden do a crash course on eating a lot of extra fiber, you may end up getting really, I'm just going to say it the way that it comes out to me, bunged up. So you kind of slow down your digestion and you can end up with gas and bloating and constipation that's just related to the fact that you've just taken in so much fiber. So increase your fiber slowly. Don't just go all in if you're really low on your fiber. Add your fruits and vegetables to every meal. You should choose whole grains instead of refined grains. So choose brown rice over white rice. And apart from a difference in the taste, definitely whole grains take longer to cook. And so one of the things that you just have to plan ahead and remember, I'm going to just do a shout out for my rice cooker because that makes it so easy to make. You can set it and forget it, but definitely I think white rice takes about 15 minutes to make, whereas brown rice and other whole grain rices take a lot longer. And you can have, if you don't have a gluten issue, you can have whole grain pastas as well. And there's quinoa, lots of different grains, and quinoa only takes 15 minutes to make once you bring your water to a boil. So that's a really fast and quick grain that you can do. Now, snack on nuts and seeds because they have a lot of fiber. I would also say be careful that you're not overeating on your nuts and seeds because they do have omega-3 fatty acids and they are more calories. But so you shouldn't be chowing down that's all you're eating is nuts and seeds. But I would say when I eat well and I eat clean and I always have leafy greens with my meal and my vegetables and a nice sauce or dressing. I have my potato, whatever. I'm going to say that I actually have no appetite for snacking because it satisfies me and I'm full from my meals and I don't have room for snacks in my day when I'm eating very well. And then you can incorporate legumes into soups, salads, and stews. They're great for a lot of different ways that you can incorporate your legumes, beans, split peas, lentils. I have a couple of really great soups that are fan favorites. Split pea soup, which is so easy to make, and also lentil soup, which is delicious and easy to make. So catch me on those. They're really great. And tomorrow we'll talk more about our food when we're talking on this. And I just wanted to, that's a lot. I just wanted to address a question that OJ asked yesterday. She was asking about the prebiotics and fiber feeding both the good and the bad microbes. And it's a great question. And I just wanted to enhance the answer that I gave yesterday. So for the most part, good and bad microbes can consume fiber. But the prebiotics, or the fiber that we're looking at, is typically more beneficial to our good bacteria. And so if we're eating our dietary fiber and that we're getting our beneficial bacteria are healthy, then they actually can help give us what we'll call a competitive advantage and outcompete the harmful bacteria. So making sure that we're keeping our healthy bacteria good means that we're keeping the bad actors away. And also that fermentation process is also a good one as well. Again, if you're eating well, you're more likely going to keep those bad actors away. And then I just want to talk about fiber supplements for a second. So they can be a useful tool for individuals who struggle to meet their daily fiber intake. But we should also be trying to increase our fruits and vegetables and getting fiber from our whole food diet, because they really could be used. I would say to use them more as a supplement. But then, with the whole food diet and the fiber you get from fruits, vegetables, whole grains and legumes and nuts and seeds, you're getting all sorts of other nutrients, whereas these supplements are not they don't have the same level of nutrients that you're going to get in the whole foods. So you can definitely look at supplements like psyllium husk is a common soluble fiber that's used in these kind of dietary fiber supplements. There's a bunch of others as well. We talked a couple times about fiber gummies, and if they are popular, they are convenient, and they, I'm sure, taste a lot better than traditional fiber supplements. But I guess I would watch, because probably they're not as effective as they probably don't have as much fiber in them as you would get in the kind of traditional supplements. And also watch for added ingredients like sugars and other things that aren't ideal. So if you're going to lean to gummies, look at your, do a comparison and do a label shop. And I would use them only as a supplement until you get your fruits and vegetables up. But you have to make your own choice for yourself. But I always say, eat the real food. That's where you're going to get the most benefit, is from eating real food, period. All right. That was my 20 minutes that turned into 30 some minutes. All right. Lots of information here. And I'm going to see if there's any questions, Kathy.
So I had just a comment, and I really appreciated that diagram that you did, because I always get soluble and insoluble confused. So the fact that you had the cleanup crew and the garbage collectors and the gardener and the recycling plant, that really brought it home to me what everything does. So thank you for that.
Well, you're welcome. I appreciate that. So I think we all work better if we can kind of relate it to something else, for sure. So that's good. All right. Well, on that note, we will say goodbye for today. Don't forget to like and follow us. And we will be back tomorrow to talk more about where we get our fiber from. What are those foods and how does that all work? So we are continuing on with gut health for the rest of the week. Take care, and we'll see you tomorrow.